Good evening. Is everyone able to hear me? You can type in the chat window. Excellent. So let's get started. So welcome to the Technowrites webinar today. And today I'm going to talk about the technical writing process. And as I understand, many of you are probably working as technical writers, or you are planning to become technical writers soon, and you'd be interested in knowing the process. So initially I want to give you some time to draw the diagram if you want. So if you want to go ahead and do that now, go ahead and do that. So this is a technical writing process. I'll explain every step in the process, but then if you want to draw this diagram very quickly, go ahead. You can also do a screen capture if you want. So maybe you can do a print screen and then the diagram will get captured. So I'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. That will also give us some more time. I see 18 participants already connected. We have a registration count of 54. So maybe in a couple of minutes others will also join in. So go ahead and draw the diagram if you want. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and discuss the technical writing process. So as you can see, there are a number of steps in the process. It starts with defining audience. Then we go to collecting information, brainstorming the information, categorizing the information, organizing information, and then designing the document. So once we have done that, then we go ahead and actually write that document, and then we go ahead and revise that document. So I would like to talk about every point here specifically. So define audience is where you try and define who's the audience. So there are a few questions that you will be asking for this, and I have included them on the next slide here. So this is the slide. You can ask these questions. Number one, who's the reader? How much information does the reader need? What is the reader's present knowledge base? So what is that the reader already knows? Obviously, you will not want to repeat things that the reader knows, because that may reduce the reader's interest in what you are saying, and you will also end up spending more time in your communication. What will the reader do with the information? What are the reader's sensitivities and biases? So for example, let's say the reader may not be able to read English. So in that case, you may have to localize or translate that content into some other language. So you may actually translate it into, let's say in India, you may want to translate it into a local language like Hindi or Marathi. Or then what are the reader's biases? So are you having any particular bias in your communication? Have you written all names of let's say Western people, or do you have some Asian names? Do you have some Indian names and so on and so forth? How much time does the reader have to read? A number of times I have seen that we end up giving big documents, very long documents, and then one of the biggest problems that the readers have, or one reason why they don't really use that, is because they don't have time to read. So there is no point in giving a very long document where a short document can be given. Now the writing process end to end will take some time. So if you are writing a document, the entire process of writing the document may take a few days or few months, right? So this is a starting point, which is knowing your audience. Next step would be collect information. So when you collect the information, then use different techniques for that. So interview the SME or the subject matter expert. So there is a keyword for you, SME, which is very popular in technical writing. We call that as subject matter expert. Or then read about it, go and search for information on internet. A number of times when a product is getting developed, some amount of information or knowledge is already captured, and that knowledge may be available in the form of text files or Word documents or requirement specifications or functional specifications that somebody may have prepared. So try and capture all that. So read all the information that is available, talk to people, network. So find out if you know somebody who could be knowing that product or that technology. This could be a person within your organization, or maybe somebody in your social circle, your friend, your family member, and so on. Use your interpersonal relations to collect the information. So a number of times, even if you identify the person, that information may not be available so easily. So one may need to go through a series of meetings, take appointments, make sure that the user has got time, the person, the expert has got time for you. So use your interpersonal relations and go ahead and organize for everything. Now, after you have started collecting information, you'll need to brainstorm. So when you are brainstorming, gather as much information as is possible. Assign or keep aside some time for brainstorming. Now, for a typical manual of a few days, or few, let's say something like 1.5 month manual, in brainstorming, you may actually spend something close to 1.5 to 2 days. So when you are brainstorming, keep a free mind. Do not monitor the order of your own thoughts. Just let the thoughts flow. Jot them down. Now accept words, phrases, or thoughts, because a number of times the ideas may just come as a set of words. While you are brainstorming, do not group the ideas. Do not restrict yourself to the format or grammar of the ideas, because then you could be maybe discarding some of the important ideas. When you are brainstorming, listen to everyone. Maybe you are working as a group, a team of writers. So then listen to everybody's ideas, then put them together. After the brainstorming is done, and how would you know that the brainstorming is done? Number one, the order will start emerging from what you have jotted down. So that's a sign that your brainstorming is getting completed. Number two, some of the ideas may start getting duplicated. So if the same ideas are coming again and again, it perhaps means that you have captured all or at least most of the ideas. So after you have done your brainstorming, go ahead and do the categorization of information. So categorize and organize information. So typically when people think about writing, they directly start here. That is, they directly arrange the topic headings. Or if I go back a few slides and go back to the diagram. So when people talk about the writing process, they think they are going to start here. They are going to start by writing. But as you can see, all these steps have to be completed even before you get started with your writing work. So audience analysis is first, information collection, brainstorming, and then categorize. So when you are categorizing information, you are jotting down the topics. So delete the irrelevant topics or the duplicate ones, and then just form clusters of related topics, group related topics. Arrange the topic headings sequentially after that. So in effect, you are moving from no organization to minor organization, and then finally to major organization. Now we do use a number of tools for doing this. So for example, we do use tools like concept maps, and concept maps are very useful for jotting down information. So they'll help you to do brainstorming, they'll help you to do grouping, they'll help you to do arrangements, right? Some people also call concept maps as mind maps. Let me see if I can get some more time in today's session. I'll talk a little bit about concept maps. So when you start writing, follow one of the writing techniques. Now typically we follow the pyramid writing technique, which means we first write a summary of what we are going to write, and then we actually write the content. Or then let's say we'll first write the summary, then we'll put the essential details, and then we'll do the complete development of the topic. So just to give you an example here, typically news items are written with the pyramid writing technique. So if you read a newspaper, you'll read the heading first, and the heading itself is the summary. So for you, and I guess for most of us today, one of the important points in the news is going to be India was to play Bangladesh in the quarterfinal of the World Cup 2015. So what happened? So summary, India won, right? And I can tell you that we won by more than 100 runs, and Bangladesh was all out for less than 200 runs. So I think Rohit Sharma scored more than 130. So these are essential details. And then if you want, you can move on to full development, which will say that India batted first. They made more than 300 runs, out of which Rohit Sharma made so many, Shikhar Dhawan made so many, and so on. And then after that, this is how Bangladesh started playing, and this is how they scored their runs, and so on. So that's the full development. So this is one of the most popular techniques used in writing. I'll give you one more example here. So let's say if you are going to write steps, or if you are going to write options. So let's say we want to give categories, right? So what example can I give? So we'll say, okay, there are different types of markup languages. The most popular ones are HTML, which is hypertext markup language, and XML, that is extensible markup language. Now once I have said that, then I'll go ahead and explain what is HTML. After I've done that, I'll go ahead and explain what is XML. But while writing, I should not say there are two types of markup languages. Number one, HTML, then give the full details of HTML, but then not tell you what is the second one unless the first one is finished. So that's what I mean by following the essential details. So first just mention two types, or the most important types, then give the list, then explain each one of them in detail. Now I have my chat window open here. So if any one of you has got any questions, you can feel free to ask those questions. Let's go ahead. So when you actually organize information, you are going to pick a pattern. And here the pattern that you pick may actually change depending on what you are writing. It may also depend on who's the target audience who's going to read. So there are different types of patterns. So let me explain this with a few more examples. So chronological patterns. So chronological means that it's arranged in the order of time. In other words, you are writing what is first, what is done first, what is done second, and so on and so forth. So chronological pattern is used for writing procedures. So where you would say this is a first step, this is a second step, this is a third step, and so on. After we have worked on chronological, or let's say let's look at when would you use psychological. So let's say if I'm writing, for example, the example that I gave you just now. So what is the score, or what was the result of the match? So this is psychological. What is psychological? What is most important for you at this point of time is this. Maybe after 2 days your question would be different. Maybe after 1 week your question could be different. So what is most important for you right now is psychological. General to specific. So let's say I am writing an introduction to a topic, or I am explaining details of something. So before getting into the details, I'll give you the general information. So I'll say that browsers are used to browse internet, or open internet, or access information published on internet or World Wide Web. And there are different types of browsers. So some of the most popular browsers are Chrome, Firefox, and so on. So general to specific. Problem to solution. So this is typically used while writing chapters like troubleshooting. So if let's say I'm writing troubleshooting, I say my printer does not work. So I start with a problem, which is my printer does not work. And then I may work with a solution. So saying that maybe the power cable is not connected, maybe it's not turned on, maybe the toner doesn't have ink, maybe you have not fed the papers to the printer to print. Whole two parts. Now this can be used again to introduce a new product, but especially for products like let's say a mechanical engineering product. So you are explaining the control panel and then you are explaining the various consoles on that. Or then let's say you are explaining a screen of a software application. So where you say this is the title bar, this is the menu bar, this is the home ribbon, this is the format ribbon, this is the work area, this is status bar, and so on. So even for explaining parts of a GUI, which is a graphical user interface of software, we use this pattern. Most important to least important. So if I say that there are in Indian agriculture, our farmers produce different types of food grains, and the food grain that is exported the most is, let's say, wheat, or is, let's say, rice. So, and maybe I'll move down to the one which is least exported or least produced. So most important information is given first. So I'll say this is the most important, this is least important. Sometimes I may even organize this alphabetically. So let's say if I am explaining a glossary of terms, so I'm explaining various technical terms and their meaning, then I'll have to arrange them A to Z or A to Z, right? I may give a comparison and contrast, or I may also use a cause and effect. So what is a comparison and contrast? In a comparison and contrast pattern, we try to base our content based on what is that the user already knows. For example, let's say you have been working on Windows XP, you have been working on Windows 7, and now there is a new version available called as Windows 8. Then I'm going to tell you what's new in Windows 8. So it will be easier for you to understand. Instead of me telling you starting with Windows 8 is operating system and it's the next version of Windows operating system and it has got a graphical user interface and it's developed by Microsoft and so on. So comparison and contrast will help you if your audience already has prior knowledge. And you would remember that when we talked about audience analysis, we also considered that question. So where we said that what is that the audience already knows, right? So finally, cause and effect. So if you do this, you will get so and so at the output. Given this input, that will be the output. So if you click on this button or if you choose this option, the file will open in a read-only format. If you choose the other option, you'll be able to edit the file and so on. So sometimes things like notes, warnings, error messages and so on. So for notes and warnings, we may actually use a cause and effect kind of a pattern. I don't see any questions getting posted to the chat window, so I'm assuming that we are going fine and my pace is all right. So let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to show you two diagrams now more specifically. So I have got what I call as the documentation life cycle, and then how it models with what we call as the software development life cycle. So once again, if you want to go ahead and draw that diagram, you can do now. So here is a diagram for you. So I'll go ahead and explain it as you are writing. So you can see the documentation life cycle. Now the documentation life cycle for any product begins with what we call as a documentation plan. And what is a documentation plan? So a documentation plan tries to identify all the things that you can see here on the right side of the slide. So in the documentation plan, I try to identify the deliverables. For example, I may say that I'm going to create a user guide. I'm going to create a help file. I may say that I'm going to use Word for developing the user guide. I'm going to use Adobe RoboHelp for developing the help file. If I'm going to use any templates, I'll mention that I'll probably have the schedule, which means I'll probably have some dates identified saying that so and so date I'm going to start working on the user guide. That will be completed on so and so date. After that, I start working on the help file and so on. I may even identify resources in terms of hardware and software required, in terms of names of writers, graphic designers, editors, reviewers required. I may even put a content outline. So all this is your documentation plan. So if you are preparing a documentation plan, these are the things that you will be required to identify. How do you do that? For doing that, you need these inputs. So these are the inputs to the documentation plan. So obviously you need inputs from SMEs. So that is subject matter experts. You'll need documents and all other information from the engineering team, maybe requirement specifications, GUI, that is a screen layouts, so GUI design. Maybe they have got a product prototype or they have a working product, maybe a previous version of the product. So all these will become inputs to a documentation plan. Now documentation plan will be reviewed and revised. Once the documentation plan is cleared, then you will start writing your content. Now in this diagram, you will also see some blocks that I have drawn with pink color dots. Now these dots or these blocks refer to the blocks in the SDLC, or what is popularly called as software development lifecycle. So the blocks that you see in pink are the SDLC, and the blocks that you see in black are the DDLC, or document development lifecycle, right? So this diagram shows you the mapping of DDLC with the SDLC. So when the coding of the software is being done, you are going to write the content. When the software is going to go through the code review and the testing, at that time your document will also be reviewed. Now typically you would do a peer review and a technical review. When I'm saying peer review here, what I mean is a language review. If you are not sure about this, get this clarified from your manager, because sometimes people also use the term peer review for a technical review. So I mean language review here and I mean technical review here. Language review is done by another writer, and it's also done by an editor if you have one. Now before you give a document for language review, you are yourself supposed to do a review which is called as a self-review. So you are going to do a self-review. So there could be checklists provided for that. We have a very detailed checklist available for doing self-review. And then technical review is done by the SMEs, the subject matter expert, the same people who gave you the inputs here. So these people will do the technical review. Now based on the review comments that you are going to get, your content will get revised, and finally your deliverables will also be ready. Now next I want to show you the process of writing a user guide. So, and I would recommend that you note this down as well. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Go ahead. All right. So this is the process for developing the user guide. Now, first and foremost, we understand the requirement, we study the subject matter, and we prepare an estimate. Now, if you are working as a part of an agency like Technowrites, or if you are working as a freelancer, you may prepare an estimate in terms of cost or price as well. So you may give a quotation. So prepare a table of contents or the outline of the document. Prepare the quotation, as I mentioned. Maybe include a style guide or at least a mention of a style guide. There are different style guides that we use in technical writing. One of them is very popularly known as the Microsoft Manual of Style for Technical Publications. And if you want, I will type this name out in the chat window so that you can note it down. And I think the latest version is version 4. A few days ago, this book was available on Flipkart for a discounted price. So you can go and check that out as well. So that's one of the style guides that we follow. You may write a sample chapter to give that person an idea of what your actual document will look like when you have completed it. Now you'll need to get an approval. If you are a freelancer or an agency, you'll need to get a commercial approval as well. If you are a part of the organization, then maybe your manager or PM will give you an approval. Your project manager will give you an approval. So once you get that approval, you go ahead and start working on the first draft of the user guide. Now typically we give 3 drafts. So the first draft is given in the form of chapters as they are prepared, correct? So I will not probably wait for all the chapters to be ready. I'll probably go ahead and send the chapters as they are prepared. A number of times different people may actually prepare different chapters. So a number of times maybe the installation is being checked by somebody else, the getting started is being checked by somebody else, the report section is being checked by somebody else, and so on. So whatever the case may be, so you will send chapters as they are prepared. So you don't really hold the entire content back. What also happens is as you go on sending the chapters, people will go on giving you feedback on the chapters that they have received. So once you receive that feedback, you can start incorporating that feedback. So get the feedback on the first draft, incorporate the changes. Now that you have got feedback on all your chapters, you can put the entire book together. So if you are putting all the chapters together, it could be a good time to add the headers and footers to that document. Then maybe generate an index. Now index is something that comes at the end of the document. Many people get confused between a table of contents and an index. Table of contents comes in the beginning, index comes at the end. Index is sorted alphabetically. If your document is more than 30 or 50 pages, I would highly recommend you to consider giving an index, right? So you can think about giving an index. After that, again, you are going to do a review. When I say internal review, I am talking about language review, and I am also talking about self-review. Now, then present a second draft for the client's review. Now, when I say client, I am talking about Technowrites. So here you are talking about the SME or maybe your manager. So now your second draft will go as a complete book, as the entire book, right? And then you get feedback on that, you incorporate the feedback on that as well. Again, you do your review and everything, and then you deliver your final draft or your final deliverable. So this is the process for developing the user guide. So let me freeze this screen here for a moment so that you can draw the diagram if you have not completely done that right now, and then we'll go to the next slide. Feel free to ask your questions. You can use the speakers and the microphone also, or alternatively you can type. So if you can type in the chat window, I'll be able to read that and answer your questions. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is the process for preparing online help. And this process is quite similar to the earlier user guide process. So you can see that the blocks on this side are similar: understand the requirement, study the subject, prepare estimate, prepare code topics, and so on. Now prepare the first draft of the help file. Now in this case, this is not a user guide. So you're not really preparing chapters, but then you are preparing topics. So prepare the topics and then send them. Now before sending, once again, make sure you have done the self-review, you have done the language review. So get feedback from your SMEs or your client on that. And instead of adding headers and footers, since this is a help, we'll add things like search keywords, we'll add things like index keywords, we'll insert hyperlinks, jumps, and so on and so forth. Now we may also insert a few other things in help. So for example, I may have hyperlinks on images. In a few cases, people also insert screenshots in help. In a few cases, people insert hyperlinks in the help that will take people to, let's say, the product's website or the company's website and so on. So do all that here. So the hotspot graphics are the graphics having hyperlinks on them, right? So insert the jumps, insert the links. Once again, do your internal review. Now send a second draft. Now the second draft is going to be the entire help. So send it, and while you get feedback on that draft, you may start linking the help with the application. So there is a process called as mapping of help file. I'm sure you can find a lot of information about this on internet. If you are using a tool like Roper, there is a whole lot of information that Adobe has given, and they have really compiled that information very well. But I would like to explain this in a few steps. So when you map the help file with the application, what you do is you generate a list of what we call as map IDs. Using those map IDs and using the name of the help file, we actually link the help file to the application. Now for doing this, you will need to sit with a developer. The developers will probably not give you charge of their application and allow you to do whatever you want. So they'll probably need to give you or sit with you to do the linking. So you'll tell them the names of topics, the map ID of every topic, when should that topic open. So the end effect should be, if you are on the print dialog box and you press the help button, then the help topic that opens should be related to printing. If you are on a create or a new file dialog box, if you click the help button, the topic that will open should tell you how to create a new topic or a new document. So that's called as context sensitive help. So the context sensitivity depends on how well you map the application with the help. So get the feedback on the second draft, incorporate changes, complete your review, and then deliver your final help file. So once again, I'll freeze on this slide so that you people can write down the points and entire diagram. All right, so let's get started again. So now for the next few slides, I'm going to talk about what do we do when we actually revise the document, right? So when we revise the document, we look at a number of points. So all these points are mentioned here in this slide, subsequent slide. So let me go through them one by one. So let's say your document is now written, it's ready with you. So what are you going to do? You are going to monitor the use of jargon. So what is jargon? Technical terms. Too many technical terms could be confusing. So do not use too many abbreviations or acronyms. If you have to use them, then spell them out. Typically, a list of abbreviations or acronyms is given at the beginning of the file before you start the chapters. Or then if you are using some fairly complicated words, we include a glossary of terms that explains what those words means. Correct. Monitor the use of euphemism. Euphemism is a better way of doing something. So for example, we may say that the server was hacked. So which means something has gone wrong with the server. Somebody must have, you know, put on too many processes and so on, and the processor was not able to cope with that. So there could always be better way of saying something. So that's euphemism, and euphemism could be very risky because when translated it can lead to misunderstanding. Acronyms. So acronyms means using abbreviations or then things or short forms of words which are difficult to understand. So for example, if I say BPL, somebody, or if I say SME, for example. So SME for technical writer means a subject matter expert. In the context of economics, SME means a small and medium enterprise, right? So be careful about all that. Neologism is using words which are new, so new words being created. So earlier we used to use SMS as a verb. We would say that when you reach, you SMS me. Now we have changed that, and I think now we say when you reach, you text me. So which means you send me a message through SMS, or you send me a message through applications like WhatsApp and so on. So as the technology is getting developed, newer terms are getting developed, newer products are getting developed. So one has to watch for neologism, because you may be using new terms, but then if people don't understand it, then the whole purpose is getting defeated. So monitor the use of jargon and so on. Use bias-free communication. So avoid bias related to gender, race, ability, and so on. So instead of using chairman, as you can see there is a man here, masculine bias, say chairperson, or simply say chair or moderator. Instead of saying manpower, you would say workforce. Instead of saying deaf, now this is physical handicap. So instead of saying deaf, you can say hearing impaired. Instead of saying mentally handicapped, you can say mentally challenged. Nowadays we even don't use a word handicapped, so we don't say he's a handicapped person. We say he's a person of special needs, or we say he's a differently able person, or we say he's a challenged person. So use bias-free language, especially if you are writing for the international audience. Using active and passive voice. Now you can use passive voice in a few select cases only, and if you want to write down, I'll tell you what I mean by that. So you can use active voice for most of the writing in technical writing. So use passive voice only for a few cases. What are they? Number one, you can use passive voice for warnings. Number two, you can use them for legal notices. Number three, you can use them for error messages. So once again, warnings or notes, legal messages or notices, or error messages. So for example, you may have read a board which says trespassing is prohibited. The board doesn't say that if you trespass you will be prosecuted, because then it's offending the reader. So you simply say trespassing is prohibited, or you simply say smoking is prohibited. You may have read an error message which says an error has occurred, and do you want to let Microsoft know about it? So it doesn't tell you that you have tried to press a funny key combination and because of you now the machine has to restart. So never put the responsibility of the mistake on the reader. So in error messages we use passive voice, legal notices we use passive voice, and in warnings or notes we may use passive voice. Passive voice can be used when an actor is unknown, or as a tool for tactful expression, or to emphasize on certain words. So all these are examples of what I just said. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So writing numbers. So there are some rules. So for example, you would say that spell out single digit numbers. 1 to 9. In fact, I would say 0 to 9. Correct? So writing 0 is better written as ZERO instead of using a 0, because a 0 is similar to the character capital O. So 0 to 9 are typically spelled out. But then if your number is following a unit of measurement, then you will need to use a numeral. So you can say 0 volts. So if you want to do that, you are simply going to say 0V, right? Use figures for multiple digit numbers. Now there are certain examples that I have for you here. So let me just quickly switch to that slide. All right, here we go. So some exercise of using numbers in technical writing. So you can see that in the first line, you can see page 8 of the specification, paragraph 28.3 specifies a current drop of no more than 0.5 milliamperes. Now, anybody wants to answer any of these exercises, you can type your answers in the chat window and I can read them. My answer to this would be page 8. So here you should write a numeral 8. Correct? As you must have noticed, I said that 0 to 9 should be spelled out. Now, when we write page numbers, we never write them as AIGHT8. And that's the reason in this case, you'll make an exception and write the numeral 8. The next correction here would be 0.5. So instead of writing 0.5, you should write 0.5. So here that 0 is missing. And that's very important, because otherwise somebody mistakenly may read this as 5 milliamperes. Next line. So renovations will require 4 workers for 3.5 days. Now here I would recommend you to go ahead and write 3 and 1/2. So a fraction as 1/2. So I'll type it out in the chat here. 1/2, right? So something like that you should write. So do not write 3.5 days. And the reason for that is, when you say 3.5 days, you are probably saying that a day consists of 10 hours. Remember, a day includes 24 hours, and if you count a working day, it includes 8 hours and not 10 hours. So never say 0.5, because by saying 0.5, you are saying that there are 5 hours out of 10 you'll need to work. By the year 2000, we estimate there will be 1 computer in every 1.2 homes. So the mistake that I would recommend here, or the correction that I would recommend here is, obviously for the year 2000, you'll write the numeral 2000 and you'll say we estimate that there'll be 1 computer in every 1.2. Now this term 1.2 homes is difficult to understand. So try to eliminate a fraction here. So I would probably say that there'll be 10 computers in 12 homes, or I'll probably say that there'll be 100 computers in 120 homes, or maybe 5 computers in 6 homes, something like that, because I can imagine 6 homes, I can imagine 120 homes, I can imagine 12 homes. I'm not able to imagine a 1.2 home, right? Next one, we'll need 20 40 watt bulbs. Now here you'll need to rewrite the sentence. So maybe say something like, we'll need 20 bulbs of 40 watts. Now once again, a tip here, so whenever you are writing 40 watts, you should write it as maybe 40 W, or you should write it as 40 WATTS. Do not say 40 WS, because 40 WS means watt second. So you can see my chat. I have typed out the points there. So 13 is not a good number to start with. Never start a sentence with a number in place of the first word. And if you can't help it, then just go ahead and spell out that particular number. So this exercise was about using numbers. So let me talk about a few other points before we end our session today. So when you are revising, watch out for this. So what is this? Low information content words or redundant words. So for example, if you read this sentence, tests were run for a period of 3 weeks. So we simply say tests were run for 3 weeks. or by Wednesday we had a backlog of 632 units, and for this reason we adopted a two-shift operation. So by Wednesday we had a backlog of 632. I think this 2 is not required here. So we adopted a two-shift operation. She awakened at 6 a.m. in the morning. Now when I am saying 6 a.m., obviously it is morning. So she woke up at 6 a.m. or she woke up at 6 in the morning, something like that, right? All right, let's go ahead. So next slide. Avoid vague words or abstract expressions. So while the crew was in town, they picked up spare parts. Now if this is being translated into some other language, the one translator may translate it as while the crew was in town, they bought spare parts. The other may say while the crew was in town, they stole spare parts. So you may want to avoid this. The project will take a long time. So instead of that, be more specific. So say something like the project will require 300 work hours or will last 4 months or something like that. Avoid negative construction. So use negative construction for emphasis such as in caution or warning only. Otherwise state information in a positive construction. So something like save your work and then turn off your computer. So instead of do not turn off your computer without saving your work. One is this sentence construction is sort of a little bit twisted, difficult to understand, difficult to translate, and can cause confusion. Second is this also leads to more number of words. So avoid that and prefer something like this. Well, that's it for this session. I had actually planned a presentation for about 50 minutes, and I think we have done that. Well, let's just look at one more slide here. So which is inverted word order. So prefer the non-inverted or the simple word order. So log on to the system before using it. Instead of saying before you may begin using the system, you must log on to it. So you can see lesser number of words here, more number of words here. Now this is how you may actually say it. So when we speak, we tend to use some redundant words. But when we write, we have to write concise. So somebody may mention this during a training program, a sentence like this. In addition to its command processing functions, another feature of the shell is its programming capability. So here we simply say the shell has command processing and programming capabilities. So I think this is much better. Yeah, so with that, I think I'll come to the end of my particular presentation for today. I'll be glad to take any questions that you may have. So feel free to ask questions now. So do we have any questions? You can either speak or you can go ahead and type. All right, so I can see some questions popping up on my screen here. So how much is it important to know the number of authoring tools? Well, Sanket, I would suggest that in every family of authoring tools, you should know at least one, and then you can easily learn others. So let me sort of tell you some of the families or some of the categories of tools, right? So let's say word editors. So in word editors, you may need to know something like Microsoft Word. Now there are many options to this today. So you can even know OpenOffice, or you can know LibreOffice. You can even know Adobe FrameMaker. Correct? In terms of help authoring tools, So for computer software industry, we create help files. And by the way, computer software or IT industry is also one of the biggest employers and the biggest paymasters of technical writers. So for help authoring tools, maybe something like Adobe RoboHelp. There are many others. So I believe there is Doc2Help also. I have worked on it earlier. That was long time back. Correct. And there would be, I think, you probably have Madcap Flare and others. So you'll perhaps need to know screen capturing tools. So I would recommend you learn Snagit. There are at least 20 tools out there, but I think if you know Snagit, you'll probably know many others. I heard that there is a tool called as PickPick. I have not worked on this tool so far, but they told me that PickPick is free if you want to use it for personal use. I think Word 2013 has screen capturing capabilities. Though Word does not give you a whole lot of features like Snagit does, I think the best tool in this particular family is Snagit, right? You may need to draw diagrams and maybe things like flowcharts. So for diagrams and flowcharts, I would recommend the best tool, of course, is to use Microsoft Visio. Correct? So Microsoft Visio comes with a whole lot of clip arts that you can use. If I'm not wrong, Microsoft Visio Technical will have something like 1300 or I think more than that. You probably have ready to use clip arts or templates available in Visio. But then Visio is a paid tool. You can also use OpenOffice Draw. So there is one particular application in OpenOffice Draw. Now here I should have said OpenOffice Write, so which is equivalent of Word. Correct? OpenOffice Draw can be used. By the way, even Microsoft Word has got very good drawing tools, and all those drawing tools are also available in Microsoft PowerPoint. So you will be able to create very good diagrams and flowcharts in Word and PowerPoint itself. But then if you are doing a lot of automation and diagramming, maybe Visio could be a better investment, but that really depends on your load. For most of the practical purposes like drawing simple flowcharts, I think Word and PowerPoint should be good. There is also one good tool called as Dia. So you may want to use Dia. So you can do that. For Word editors, nowadays we do a lot of XML based authoring. So we actually write content in XML, and for this we use a number of tools. I think my favorite is XMetal. So you can use that. Even Adobe FrameMaker gives you capability to author XML. And I think now Adobe has come up with another tool called as FrameMaker XML Author. So there are many tools for XML authoring as well. So I think this list should be sufficient. This should do the trick. If you know one tool in each of these categories, I think it's very easy to learn others. I'm going to give you a name of a website and you may want to write this down. So the website is portableapps.com. If you go to portable apps, you'll get many of these tools and you'll even get their portable versions. What I mean by portable version is you can install portable file in a pen drive. You just take the pen drive out and connect it to new computer, it will work there. Dia is a portable tool here. OpenOffice is also available in the portable format. I believe, I'm not sure, but maybe LibreOffice is available. I have not checked that out. But OpenOffice is definitely available in the portable format. So OpenOffice Draw, OpenOffice Write, both are available in the portable format. A whole lot of screen capturing tools are there. Many of them are free. So if you search for them, I think you'll get a lot of them. Right? So you can go to portable apps. I see some questions. Yes. So data is also there for XML. So Sanket says data is also there for XML. Data is Darwin information typing architecture, and data needs XML files. So data is not used to create XML files. Data is an architecture, correct? And the tool that we use for that is called as data open toolkit. Some people also call it as data OT. Now whatever I am typing, you can feel free to write that down. Data is not a editing tool for XML. Data actually processes XML files. Data does not author XML files. Data is an information typing architecture, and in data open toolkit they recommend you to use a XML authoring tool. As I have mentioned, for XML, you can already see the names here. XMetal is there, FrameMaker is there. I think you can also use something called as Notepad 2007, which is a free XML editor. There is a Serna XML editor, and so on. All right, so let me go back to some of the questions on the screen here. Has the importance of index decreased? Shiny, I don't think so, because index helps you to find information in the shortest possible time. In the soft copy formats such as PDF, you can do a text search. So what I mean is you can simply use the find function to find what you want. So some people think index may not be required, but I think that index is the most systematic way of locating information, because a number of times, let's say you go into a document and try to find something, you may get something like, let's say, 22 occurrences of that word. Which one is the most relevant? So you'll have to go through all of them and find out which one is the most relevant. So in this case, the index may directly give you 2 or 3 entries. The biggest advantage of index is that index can also have secondary, or let's say, sub entries, right? So sub entries make index more useful. So I think index is much more useful than search. All right, application test, duration of the course. So let me try and understand this question. I see that it is probably broken into pieces. Are there any online courses, certifications around data authoring? This question is by Ratan, right? So yes. For data, there are many courses available, online courses. In fact, that is Technowrites, also conducts online courses for data. So you may want to attend some of our courses. We conduct courses on data. I mean, we conduct courses on everything in technical writing. So we even have got a full-fledged course called as Diploma in Technical Communication, and we have remodeled that course now. So we have sort of divided into a classic package, that is something everybody has to know. And in addition to that, we give multiple packages. So there are special packages that talk about data. So we have packages about structured FrameMaker, and of course it covers unstructured FrameMaker as well. We have got packages that cover WordPress, we cover MediaWiki, and I mean a whole lot of other things. So yes, we do have advanced packages. Now somebody has mentioned that you can use LaTeX. So yes, I think Ratan has talked about LaTeX. So Ratan, I'll probably put LaTeX here. Correct? And there is one more popular version of LaTeX called as Lix. And I think Lix is also now available as a free tool for Windows. So Lix is also good. In LaTeX and Lix, we actually use tagging instead of formatting. So LaTeX and Lix are being used by a lot of people who do scientific writing. So people who are writing research papers, people who are doing, let's say, MSc, MTech, people who are doing PhD, many of them, they use LaTeX or LIX for writing their research papers. And LaTeX and LIX are extremely popular in the education segment. So if you want to write for that segment, yes, that can also be a great tool. So is there any preferred documentation tool for agile model? I don't think so. I think you can use any of these tools. So these are the tools for technical writing. Now you may want to decide. So agile model is just a working methodology or model for the team to follow. So it's how it sort of determines how you work in a team, right? So it doesn't really mandate use of a particular tool. I believe all the names that I've mentioned here, you can use any of those while you are working on Agile as well. What is DDLC for sprint? Well, Shiny, I think that could be another session by itself. I can tell you that when we work in Agile or when we work in sprints, we work in simple chunks. So in Agile, you'll probably never give a complete document for review. You'll probably give sections, and you'll probably go on finalizing small sections of documents as you go ahead. And maybe in the final sprint, you'll just put all those sections together, right? So I think that's how it works. To get into the details of that, we'll perhaps need another 1 hour. How about Arbor Text, Authorit, Epic editors? Which domains use these tools? So I would probably put Arbor Text, Authorit, and Epic. Correct. So I'll probably put them under here, XML based authoring. So Epic editor is here. Correct, and Authorit is also here. So Authorit also follows XML based authoring, so you can check that on Authorit website also. So Authorit creates XML based content, and many of these tools also offer what we call as single sourcing. So which means you write the content in one place and then you really can generate many outputs from the same content. So I think Authorit does single sourcing, Epic does it as well. You can do single sourcing in XMetal, FrameMaker, you can do single sourcing in a RoboHelp as well. I don't believe OpenOffice or LibreOffice will be capable of doing single sourcing, right? Things like WordPress and so on, they come under what we call as CMS or content management systems. So WordPress will probably come under CMS. There are many others. So for example, you also have Joomla, you have Drupal, and I mean there are so many others, right? So I'm sort of going through the questions, and pardon me, I'll have to do this quickly. So I want training on TWiki. So Jyoti is saying this. Well, Jyoti, I don't have a ready-made module on TWiki, but we can look at it if you want. So you can, maybe write to me about that, and then we can work on that. But if you are able to work on MediaWiki, I think you'll be able to work on any other wiki. The biggest advantage of MediaWiki here is that MediaWiki is free. So MediaWiki is open source. And the most popular implementation, right, of MediaWiki is Wikipedia. Wikipedia uses MediaWiki. So if you have read Wikipedia, you have already been a user of MediaWiki, so to say, right? So once you understand one wiki, I think you get the fundamentals clear. It will be easy to understand others. So same thing that I had said earlier, if you can work with Word, with a little effort, you may be able to work with Write, OpenOffice Write, LibreOffice, and so on, right? So let's go ahead. Gita is also there. Okay, I think we already answered that. So moving forward, Sanket. So what is DDLC for sprint? Are the current students going to get a new course material? I'm not sure what you mean by current students. Well, Technowrites has got a lot of students, and these students get access to what we call as a doc repository, and all the content that is covered in that course So all this content will be updated to the doc repository. Recently, we have started producing what we call as video snippets, and all those video snippets and everything is available as a free download to all the students. And these students get what we call as a perpetual right to access the repository or the special site. And what I mean by that is your access to doc repository continues even after the course is completed. So you keep on getting free updates. Now anything that is not covered in the course may not really get added to it. So for example, a training on data is a full-fledged module and an advanced module on technical writing. So that is not covered by the classic diploma model. So in that case, those students will not get access to the advanced modules. So anything that will prepare on, let's say, author it or upper text and so on. So that you may not really get on on the doc repository, because that's a altogether different module. But for that course, whatever updates are happening, you definitely get them. So you do get updated questionnaires, you do get updated video snippets, you do get updated checklist and so on. So Himesh is saying that as Indians we are not experts in English language. Do we need a very good vocabulary? Well, that's sort of the foundation of the career if you want to become a technical writer. So yes, you need to have a good vocabulary of the language in which you are going to write. Now a lot of people also think that technical writing is only done in English. Now let me tell you that we have written manuals for Nokia in Hindi, we have written manuals on Nokia in Punjabi, we have written in Marathi and so on and so forth. So technical writing can be done in any language, right? So once you understand the process and you have the tools which will help you to author in that language. So let's say if you want to type Marathi in Microsoft Word or any other application, I would suggest you go and search for Google language input. Now Google language input is a free tool that you can download and install on your machine, and this will work inside most of the applications like MS Word and so on. So using that, so let's say if you have downloaded Google language input for Marathi, then you will be able to type Marathi text inside your Word file, or Hindi text for that matter. They also give you an on-screen keyboard to do that. Let me quickly see if I can open that for you. Give me a second. In the meantime, please feel free to type any more questions that you have. All right, so I think you can see my screen now, and you can see that I will be typing in Marathi now. So I'm using what is called as phonetic typing. So I'm actually typing the English characters, but then the Marathi characters will probably get entered. Right? And you even get a floating keyboard on this. So you can open that floating keyboard here and so on. So this is Google Marathi language input. And it's a very powerful tool, and it's a free tool. So if you have the right kind of tools, then you can do writing in that particular language as well. So let me quickly go through the questions and see if I have missed any of them. Duration of the course. So the remodeled DTC course that we have created, that is a new course that we have created. Now you can see I'm switching back to English language here, right? So the new remodeled course that we have created will be about 2 months, correct? So you can complete that DTC course in 2 months. And in this course, we are covering all the theory. We are covering all the processes. So I just gave you a quick overview of the technical writing process. In the course, we actually go through audience analysis for 1.5 hours. We do a lot of exercises on brainstorming, information organizing, estimation, and so on and so forth. So the theory is covered, the process is covered, and we cover Microsoft Word, we cover Snagit, and we also cover Adobe RoboHelp. Now everything put together, this is about 2 months. Now if you take it in the classroom model, if you take it in the virtual classroom, and you can take the virtual classroom model anywhere where you want. So there we actually give you more time. So we give you something like 6 months to complete this. Correct? This includes 10 not exercises, I'll say assignments, and feedback being given on every assignment. So assignment with feedback. So I don't see any more questions. Where can you get the latest trends on technical writing? Well, I think that's going to be difficult. So you'll need to follow many sites. So I would suggest you follow stc.org, right? That's a good site to follow. And let me show you a few sites. So one thing that you may definitely want to do is go to YouTube, and on YouTube you can search for Technowrites, and if you do that you'll see a whole lot of my videos on YouTube. So I've got something like 50 videos there, and you can watch many of them there. So document development life cycle, typical documents prepared by a technical writer, my interview being conducted about technical writing, writing process overview. So this covers the same presentation almost that we did today. A demo of structured FrameMaker, data, I think Sanket mentioned about it. So this could be one good place for you to look at. I think you can also look at stc.org. So STC India website. STC India website will be stc-india.org. Now, if you are there on stcindia.org, make sure you read the salary surveys of technical writers, because STC India publishes a salary survey every year, and that salary survey is a free download, so can give you a lot of idea about the salaries and their revisions and so on. So you can get a whole lot of information here, right? If you go to STC, so this is a STC worldwide, so you'll get a whole lot of information here. From there are literally hundreds of links. You can look at the chapter community sites, and there are many sites there. So every chapter gives links to a lot of other sites and so on. So you can also look for, I think, TC server, yeah. So I hope you are writing down all these. So I'll paste them here if you want. STC India, so right here. Yeah, STC is right here. So TC server will give you lots of links to articles. So let me search by Mac Pandit. All right. Okay, let me try Makarand Pandit. Let me do that once again. All right, I think there is something wrong maybe with the server. But the idea here is you will see a whole lot of articles here published by technical writers. Let's search for estimation. No, I think there's something wrong with the site right now. So you can come back and check that site later. So, I mean, there are literally hundreds of sites that you can look for. What I would suggest is, I would suggest you to create a Google alert for technical writing. And if you have got a Gmail account, go to your Gmail account and search for how you can create a Google alert. If you can create a Google alert, you will keep on getting links about technical writing either on a daily or a weekly basis. So that would really help you. Does your course cover how to improve one's writing skills, the language? Yes, our course does cover some part of it, but then I have to mention that this is not an English language course, right? So we are not covering a whole lot of English in our course, right? So another good site I think I mentioned to you is portableapps.com. Now, it's not really related to technical writing. It has got a lot of apps. So if you can go to this site, and you can go here and then you can download the applications. Okay, so it seems they are upgrading. So note the portableapps.com site, so you can download many applications from there. How to create documentation using a help file. We need to download any software here. How to create documentation using a help file. So to create documentation using a help file, you need to know that tool, what we call as help authoring tool, also abbreviated as HAT. All right. So if you know that, then you can create a help file. You'll need to know the process of creating the help file. So maybe some training would help, but then otherwise you'll need to do trial and error. So why companies needs technical writers? Well, companies make products, and then there are people using those products, and unless the person uses that product, the company will not really be in business. So somebody has to explain to the users how to use that particular product. Now most of the products today are being packed with so many features that users will not be able to go and learn about them totally on their own by trial and error. So users will need some inputs. So things like user manuals, help files, release notes, video tutorials, demos, and all that helps. So that's why companies would need writers. Now let me just give me a moment. I'll try to search for a page. I'll give you a link that will give you a link of many sites. Just give me 30 seconds to do that. Right. So here is a link that will give you a comparison of help authoring tools. So this is a link, and Mark has got this page here, so where you can look at the various help authoring tools, and low cost and free help authoring tools. So you can read them here, correct? So if you want me to paste that site, I'll do that here in the chat. Yeah, so that's the link to the help authoring tools. And incidentally, this is our Google group. So as I mentioned, if you are a member of Technowrites, if you are a student, then you get access to this. And I mean, I'm just showing you, the messages that I keep on posting. So you can see that I have posted the site of the week a number of times. So TC server, that help authoring tool, word tips, then you have got content craft, and so I keep on posting a whole lot of information. I also keep on posting a whole lot of jobs. So I mean, this is as fresh as today. So you can see this, I think. iKnowledge Factory looking for content writers, freshers can apply. ONS Interactive in Noida looking for tech writers, freshers can apply. So webinars, I think you already know. So a Bangalore-based company looking for experience, 3+ years experience tech writers. 3D PLM Pune needs tech writers. So all our students keep on getting mails like that. So this is our Google group. So yeah, a whole lot of material keeps coming through that. All right. So do we have any more questions on this? What is the difference between a structured and unstructured document? All right, good question. And what I would say is a structured document has got some rules that unstructured document does not have, right? So for example, let me give you an example of a laptop bag, right? So if somebody is carrying a laptop bag, that laptop bag will have separate pockets for keeping a laptop, and that pocket may also have a cushion from inside, maybe a foam to protect the laptop. It will have a separate pocket for you to keep the power supply. It will have separate pocket for you to keep the mouse. It may have one more additional pocket for you to keep the papers. So that bag is a structured bag. Why? It thinks about what is that you are going to put into it, and then based on that the pocket size is designed, the opening of the bag is designed, the material of the bag is designed, and so on and so forth. Now, can you carry a laptop in those regular plastic bags that you get at vegetable vendors? Technically, you can. If the bag is strong enough, you can carry a laptop in that. But then it's not really a bag structured to carry a laptop. Now, similarly, some documents are structured so that they can carry the content better, right? So I think those documents are also easy to validate. So for example, you can go ahead and try this. Go to Microsoft Word, and then you can put some text as heading 1, and then immediately below that you can put some more text and format that also as heading 1, and Microsoft Word will not object. So essentially you are writing a chapter name under a chapter name. Now this should not happen in any document, right? But because Word is not a structured authoring tool, it doesn't have any rules. So it's the responsibility of writers to follow the rules. Word just gives you an open editable platform in which you can write anything. So you may put a table and forget a caption. You may put a screenshot and forget a caption, and Word will not remind you. Structured FrameMaker will do that. So once you have created a structured document in Structured FrameMaker, it may actually remind you saying that you have forgotten a caption, or you have forgotten a heading, or you have forgotten a transition line, and things like that. So structured documents are easier to author. Structured document templates are more difficult to create. So as you can imagine, a person who may have designed the plastic bag for carrying vegetables or things like sweets will be a simple plastic bag and doesn't really needs special manufacturing and special designing. But then the bag that is designed for carrying a laptop is a specially designed bag. So that's the kind of difference. So to design it is difficult, but then to use it, it's very easy. So structured document simply thinks about what content is going to be inside it, and based on that, the entire structure is created. So with a structured document, your editing and your creation will be faster, and your validation will be easier. So it sort of reduces emphasis on, or reduces the stress of the writer. Could you please explain euphemisms again? All right, so I'll try to explain euphemism, and I'll try to explain it with an example, and maybe this example will help, right? So for example, so let's say something like Rajiv Gandhi Amar Rahe, right? So what does this line mean? Right? So it actually means that Rajiv Gandhi is no more. Correct? But then saying that Rajiv Gandhi Amar Rahe is euphemism. So we are using a better way of saying something, right? So instead of saying this, so because this is very harsh, this is slightly better. Now if somebody, imagine a Japanese translator translating this into Japanese, so the message that will go to the Japanese audience will probably be wrong or exactly opposite of what has happened. Correct? That's why euphemism has to be used with extreme care, right? In Marathi, so let's say when I go out from my house, right? So when I leave my house, I say आता मी येतो. Correct? So literal translation in English means now I come. Correct? This is a literal translation. But what I actually mean is I am leaving. This is what I mean. But what do I say? I say आता मी येतो. So in literal translation it means now I come. But what I am saying is I am leaving. Right? So this is euphemism because it's not considered to be appropriate to say that I am going. So I think, and this is probably true with many other Indian languages as well. So we don't say now I go, we say now I come. So in Marathi we say आता मी येतो. Yeto means now I am leaving, right? आता मी निघालो, I am leaving for the day, something like that. So euphemism is a better way of saying something. But as I said, unless you understand the real meaning of it, it can lead to misinterpretation. So if somebody translates this into English, he'll say, okay, now I come. That's what it means. What I meant is now I'm going, I'm leaving. That's what I mean. And that's the reason why I said that you'll have to be very careful about using euphemism. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of today's session. I think we have been online for 1.5 hours. So once again, thank you very much for joining. I hope that you have benefited. Here is my mail ID. So mac@technowrites.com. If you want to talk to me or one of my colleagues, the number is 6500-6830 or 31 or 33. All right. And you can check out our website on www.technowrites.com. I would highly recommend you to visit Technowrites YouTube channel. You'll see something like 50 videos there. Maybe all of them are not for you, but I believe you will probably benefit from at least 10 of them. I have got a lot of interesting videos there. I think you should look at this particular video, which is demand for content based careers. Correct? And technical writing is one of them, content writing is another, and so on. So look at that. Those who are already into technical writing, you may want to look at my video related to white papers, so which I had done a few days ago. So a whole lot of videos there, but I think these two may be of interest to you. So once again, thank you very much. Thanks Himesh, thanks Shilpa, thanks Sanket. Thank you everybody else. I think there are 20 of you. So thank you for being so patient to listen me out for 1.5 hours. I truly hope that the effort was beneficial to you. Please feel free to write back to me. Please feel free to give your feedback to me or to one of my marketing colleagues who may have given you the invitation to join in. Thank you very much and God bless. If you are pursuing a technical writing career, I wish you all the best. You are getting into a good career, excellent prospects. Good luck.